Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Vince Edwards from Sound Image Productions. You also may know me from Death by Loadout and the Backstage Pass, two closed Facebook roadie groups that I minister. Here tonight with me is, it's the birthday boy. He's 30 years old today, very significant birthday. Kyle Thomas, how you doing, brother?
Not too bad. How about yourself, Vince?
Oh, man, I'm good. I guess as good as you can be. Happy birthday to you, first of all.
Thank you, brother.
You want to send your love, you can send it on the comments on the YouTube channel. Thanks for coming in on this special day. I said, how am I doing? The work thing's bugging me a little bit. I think we talked about this slightly.
Yeah, last time for sure.
Yeah, but other than that, I guess it's all good. You know, I think there's probably 6,700,000,000 people that wish they had my problems. So I'm going to leave it at that. What's new with you?
Not too much. Just been taking it pretty easy, reading up on some bass curriculum, retouching on the Bobcats mastering book a little bit. It's a little deep, so I got to read it a few times every time I dip into it.
Great book, great source. But yeah, I know I've heard that before. That it's like a 3 read. You have to,
minimum. Yeah,
you got to read it like 3 times to get the philosophy and what he's saying there. But if you can get it, man, you got the tools to put on any show and sound amazing every time. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that, but at least there's some good concepts we can speak about, and you have a pretty talented source to actually get some solid information from, you know?
Yeah, there's a few books out there that can help people, quick reference and or just to talk philosophy, talk shop, talk technique. But I know that one that I've always ran to is the Backstage Handbook. I feel like it should be in every roadie's Pelly. It talks about freaking every electrical connection you think, knots, rigging point. It is really
the book. Huh?
Yeah, it really covers the base, and again, it's like the Swiss Army knife of being a roadie. You know, it's just the go-to guy. You got anything special planned for your birthday?
Nothing yet. I'm looking at this weekend going up fishing. I was going to go yesterday, but COVID, can't get a boat right now, so no tinny for me.
You know, that one's odd to me. When you said that to me yesterday, I thought that was strange because you're just renting a guy a boat. I mean, you can't
isolated.
Be more alone. I mean, that's the social distance of it all time.
You would think.
But I guess yeah.
You know, swing and a miss sometimes.
So you think you'll have something available this weekend?
If not, I'll get up on foot, you know, and go hiking somewhere.
Yeah. You still doing that S6L training?
I am, yeah. I'm trucking right along with it. Still getting some files built. Always trying to make improvements. So it's making more and more sense every time I get on there. So
yeah, and I know we're really lucky to get Robert Scoville to help us with that, and so that's been kind of sweet. I know we had Shauna Holland here from Parliament P-Funk, their engineer, in here today almost all day. This woman puts in the work. She's going to be a guest on the show in a couple, I guess, 4 or 5 Thursdays from now. We're booked until September 10th.
Yeah, backed up pretty far.
Got some crazy good guests coming on. Scotty Ross from Journey, Robert Scoville, Def Leppard, Tom Petty, Greg Price, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Rage Against the Machine. Shit, who hasn't he done?
Yeah, good list, huh?
Yeah, it's a great list. It's lots of good stuff coming up in the future. Right now, as you know, we get lucky. We do. We know some people, and so we get lucky when it comes to the guests. I always never take that for granted. Tonight we got a true badass in the house, a good friend. He's known as the co-owner for Jabal Digital with Greg Price. They do custom Pro Tool recording rigs, and his resume reads like a who's who of rock and roll. It's super fun. Van Halen, Katy Perry, Rage Against the Machine, Linkin Park, Marilyn Manson, Rush, probably most of his career, Rush, and Van Halen. Just to mention a few, we got Brad Madix in the house. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, fellas. Kyle, happy birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Sweet. It's great to see you, man. How you been doing?
Good to be here. How have I been doing?
Yeah, it's been a little wacky lately.
Trying to stay busy, trying to stay in touch with people, and working in the garden, getting a few things done around the house.
Yeah.
Finally, that's been put off for a while. Just trying to, stay mentally healthy, which can be tricky when you're not working.
Well, I think it's a challenge. That's probably one of the biggest, that and the financial aspect is the biggest challenge of this whole thing. If you're not sick, you're kind of tripping on those two things.
Yeah.
Any secrets? Because you seem to be keeping it together.
Save some money.
Yeah.
Save your money.
That's a really good point.
We had, for me personally, it was actually not bad timing work-wise, for financially speaking. Just had worked really a lot for about 3 years in a row and had some money socked away. I mean, I know not everybody, but so for me, we're going to be fine.
It is kind of a rare thing to have you around the shop because I'm used to you being gone all the time.
Yeah, I'm usually gone all the time.
Yeah. And you were on a hell of a tear there for a minute, flowing Machines World Tour.
Yeah.
I know you did some Katy Perry, some Sarah Bareilles.
Yep.
Yeah, super fun.
And like, especially the Florence thing went for well over a year, and literally straight to Sarah Bareilles from there. And
yeah. Flo would like to come out to the office, right? I would see it. You would send the pictures out from that tour. Flo would come out to your front of house.
She does a thing where she
often.
goes out into the audience, and she would make her way out to front of house and stand up on the barricade right in front of me and sing a song, and it was always interesting.
That's fun. Super fun. Super fun. How'd you get in the business? Everybody, it's just a kind of a common question.
You like the origin story?
Yeah, the origin story. Come on, let's X-Men this.
When I was in high school, and before that actually even, but I was playing in bands. I was a keyboard player. Back then, that was like a Fender Rhodes and a Mini Moog.
Oh, great.
That was the keyboard player.
Yeah, super fun.
Rig. And I sort of gravitated towards the technical end of things, and then synthesizers sort of came and exploded in the early 80s, and really tinkered with like sound design on synths, and I majored in music production and engineering when I went to college, and thinking I was going to be a player, but be like, engineer and maybe produce or something. And I did a stint in the studio, not very long, and I got asked to go out on a tour, long story short, and I really enjoyed the live thing more than the studio thing. I thought it was more challenging and exciting in a lot of ways. So I bounced back and forth a little bit, but then just sort of really was drawn to going into an empty space and setting up a production, and taking it from nothing to gigantic show back down to nothing. And
yeah, it's fun.
I got to.
It's addictive.
Yeah, no, I love it to this day. Love it. And I was fortunate enough. I was working for an opening act on a really, really big tour, and there was some like really heavy hitter audio and production teams on that, and I really enjoyed watching them work. And that I get a lot of my work ethic comes from those early days when it was really tough. I mean,
did you have a mentor?
I think we've talked about it before. Ted Leamy was a guy that the first couple 3 tours I did with him as the crew chief, and he was like the lovable hard ass, like great guy, super great guy, but he really expected a lot from people, and so I mean that was really a big influence on me. And also I toured with Robert I was on the sound crew when Robert was mixing Def Leppard back in I don't know, 87.
Hysteria tour.
Yeah, Hysteria tour, that's right. And I got a lot from watching him work too.
You and Robert Scoville.
Yeah.
He's kind of an amazing guy. He's coming on the show too. We're lucky.
I know. Great.
Very lucky.
It's great.
So again, you're home right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to be. I had planned for you to be. I knew it was in the schedule. You were out for.
I'm supposed to be standing in the stadium
right now. Yeah. What happened? Who were you going out with? Tell us about that. And I know you're going out with. It was Bob Wilcox. He was going to be the monitor guy.
Right, and Tony Luna.
And Tony Luna. That's right.
So with Motley Crue and Def Leppard,
the big
and
Crue
Poison,
show,
and Joan Jett.
That would have been massive.
And my understanding, it sold really, really well.
Yeah.
And it just. There was a time there we were sort of holding out hope back in March. April that things might simmer down and might still get to do it, but
yeah, I remember talking about this right up to the last, and then they just
it's so basically like a lot of stuff just got we're going to do it again in 2021. You know,
so it's been rescheduled.
Yeah, same time next year, basically.
Oh God,
slightly different.
So weird
routing,
to lose a whole year, a whole season to us of income. That is
never seen anything remotely like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Like, I mean, just an entire industry just shut down. Just like
we had little small like 9/11 or Iraq War I or Iraq War II where we kind of tapered in the middle of it, little bump. This is a full-on.
Well,
like,
some of those
body
things
blow.
actually, after a time, were sort of inspired people to go out and.
That's true.
This is like, I don't know when people are going to be A, allowed to do a show, B, when are the fans going to be comfortable going to a show. We have a lot of challenges. I think there's a lot of things about touring that I think post-COVID are going to have to change. Riding around a bus with 10 or 11 people is a recipe
10 or 11 buses.
It's a recipe for disaster as far as disease goes. And, if you get up sick one morning and you have a load in, you go. Till now, we'll see where it goes. But I mean,
Historically,
our production's going to be comfortable if I call in at 9 a.m. before a 10 a.m. call and go out. I feel horrible. You know what?
No.
They're going to go
right now. No.
Stay home. Stay in the hotel.
Motley Crue tonight, but you got a cough, so you're gonna call it no.
Well, right. I mean,
I don't think that's gonna work.
But those are issues that have to be addressed. I think candidly. I suppose it all changes if there's a vaccine, and who knows, right? I mean, the crystal ball is so cloudy right now. It's just impossible to predict. But I know everybody's just shoved everything into next year, which is going to be crazy because all the stuff that was going to go out next year is going out next year also. And I had an interesting conversation that all the people that were going to take a year off have been stuck in their apartments or whatever, writing music, and now are going to do something, and they're also going to want to go out soon. So it's going to be potentially, we'll see. It could be really quite a year next year.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Hard to know, but I would think logic would dictate that.
As long as we can find a path to doing these things, safely,
in a safe
somehow.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of all the bands you've worked with, I've worked with a few of them as well. Van Halen, always, me and George were out with Van Halen, actual Van Halen, post Van Hagar. Mm-hmm. And we had our experiences with them, and I know how that went for us. Mm-hmm. I was curious, what was it like for you working with Van Halen? You were front of house.
Yeah.
Was this Fair Warning?
No, a Different Kind of Truth was the tour.
Okay.
So later, after
second
David got back into the band.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, they're a great band. So it's one of those bands that
they can play
on many levels was really pleasant to mix, and they were always nice to me.
Good call.
But there's challenges. I mean, there was definitely some personalities in the band that I got along great with Eddie. Great. I got along great with Alex and Wolfie, and Dave could be interesting, like
Dave.
Yeah, it could be a super nice guy.
That's right.
He was a bit up and down, I guess, but I think like after kind of a rocky start, I mean, the whole thing started weird for me because I came in to take over for somebody who was being let go for, in my opinion, no good reason. And he's a friend of mine, so it was awkward, and I mean, he's still a friend of mine, so it's like I didn't want to take his job, but whatever.
This just happens.
How it works.
Unfortunately, every so often.
And he did okay after that, so fine.
Yeah.
So there was a really interesting kind of few shows of me mixing the band to the point where I felt comfortable that they had settled on me being okay to be out there and doing.
Yeah, you passed the probation period.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Eddie's can be extraordinarily critical, and I'm glad to hear that you had a good experience with him. I found it was where you catch him in his career. There was some times when
super sweet.
He could be a little difficult.
Yeah.
So
no, he was super sweet. We got along great.
Yeah, that's great. Did you ever go back to his place, 5150?
I did not.
Yeah, interesting.
I literally got thrown into production rehearsals. It was not like that, you know. It was like we were going on tour next week, basically. You know?
After the show, sorry guys, ask me about the place. Okay, 5150 Studios.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Just ask me later, because wow, awesome.
You don't it's not on an island in the Caribbean.
No, it's not. It's L.A. down in L.A. way. I know you were out. I remember you came back to the shop you were out with Linkin Park. You were mixing Linkin Park their last tour, and you rolled in. Yeah. And I was like, what the hell are you doing here? And you sadly informed me that Linkin Park singer had taken his life, and the tour was over.
Yep.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to be here. You were supposed to be at work, and it was bizarre. How did that affect you? What did you take?
Well, it was a gut punch.
Yeah.
I was literally
Crazy. Out of nowhere.
I was literally packing to get on the plane the next day, and a friend of mine texted me that he'd seen that Chester had taken his life on TMZ, which, great.
Fucking TMZ.
Whatever. Then they were right, unfortunately. And
so
there was really a couple of days of it just totally upended my job. Obviously, my job was gone, really.
That's actually, I don't ever see you. I see you only operate in one emotion. It's usually anger. Only one I know you to have outright.
No, I'm okay on your show, though.
That day, I know. You're a sweetheart right now. It's all good. But that day, I could see you were.
No, it was really.
It fucked with you a little bit.
That
was tough.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting emotions, and sometime later, not too much, there was a memorial in LA. I want to say it was a couple weeks later or something.
That was a big deal.
And the band was really, the band paid us all for the leg, which was great of them.
Fair and fair.
God.
Yeah.
They flew most of the people that had worked for them to LA. I had an interesting experience, actually, just on the subject of mental health.
Sure.
We were all staying in a hotel together, and they had arranged for a grief counselor to be in one of the conference rooms downstairs in the hotel if you wanted to go. And I sort of had a number of emotions. I sort of went from being angry and sad and sort of down on myself, and but I was sort of like, okay, like I felt like, oh, okay, I don't need, thank you, but I don't need this. And I walked by the conference room. I think I'd gone out for a bite to eat, so it was like lunchtime. Walked by the conference room, and there was 16 or 18 people sitting in there with this counselor from the tour. And they were just sort of like a group of people talking. So I stepped in, and everybody was just really kind of being open about how they felt. And it was interesting to see the range of reactions, because
some people get mad.
It was a little all over the place.
Super sad, super mad.
And so I had my turn, and I was sharing, and everybody, we all talked for, I don't know, we were there for 45 minutes or so, something like that. And in hindsight, I'm really glad I did it. Like, I wish I had been more open to just going in there to start with.
Sure.
It was helpful to just talk to somebody that could say, this is all normal, and what you're going through is, real, and everybody's going to react to this differently, and it was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's.
I would encourage people hopefully you would never have to go through anything like that, but that kind of mental health check can be a very, very good thing, I think.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Therapy has its place. I think we're conditioned in some ways in our society to, as males particularly, I know in the African American community as well, the stigma of having anything mental health-wise can be enough to keep you away from getting help.
Yeah, maybe. And I also think specifically touring, I think I don't know if there's a stigma about it exactly, but
You're supposed to be
you're sort of
kinda
encouraged to
hard.
suck it up.
Yeah,
You know?
you're supposed to have a certain amount of. We call this the man factory in here. It's like, that's what we do is we take these youngsters and to make them tough enough to go out on the road.
Yeah,
'Cause
but I
it's,
think that
not for the.
I think that there is I mean, I've seen people not do well on the road, like really not do well, and
You bet.
in hindsight, yeah, I mean,
A lot of self-medicating.
20 years ago,
A lot of that.
20 years ago, you would just sort of like,
Power through it.
get up.
Do it.
And I think now, people might be a little more open to, hey, maybe you gotta talk to somebody, Like,
It's a good thing.
They'll
We
probably tell
evolved
you to
that
get off
way.
the road anyway, but I don't know.
Usually the talk in my old school vibe is you deal with that either before or after. While you're there, you checked in, you're along for the ride.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know
about
how it fits because it's again, it's logistically such a different world than anything else, really. But I could see a place for or at least being more tolerant or open to what do I say? Like, I wouldn't at this point in my career, I would not get down on anybody because they were in a bad place mentally and they needed to talk to somebody. I certainly would encourage them to do it.
Well, absolutely. I don't think it's that. When I say, toughen up, get it done before or after, I'm saying when you got a position like yourself, or you're the monitor guy, particularly these critical positions, I think it's incumbent upon you, opposed to a utility or, patch guy, if you got a couple of those, you can kind of interchange. When you're in that high level with these huge bands and these huge stadiums and the kind of money, the amount of money that's behind these things, each individual event is riding largely on your positions, doing well and being well.
Yeah, a handful of other people.
Yeah, sure, of course. Absolutely. But there's a certain interchangeability as you go down the rung because there's more. You're kind of a singular thing. And
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that with all the sort of the movement towards health and safety in the business, which is largely a good thing, I could see a world where there's a little more kind of mental health check that goes on every once in a while. I could see somebody that's really doing badly. I think the tendency decades ago was to whip them or fire them.
There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of yelling, in the old days.
Things have changed for the better.
You have to dodge a flying monitor at your head once in a while. Like, seriously, that's real shit. That's the old, run and gun, hard-ass way of getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
And although I know a lot of us older guys came up that way, it doesn't really work nowadays. The young people are just different. They're built different. They're sensitive. You can't.
Well, I don't even know. I
them
mean, I
hard.
think that.
And you can get more the other way.
I don't know if they are or not, but I do think the industry's become more professional in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And but also that, and we did a lot of things wrong 20 or 30 years ago that were just wrong. And
particularly 30 or 40.
yeah, the further back you go, the longer they get.
80s were a little rough. 90s started getting a little better.
And I think we need to be open to new ways to do things and do things that are more accepting of people. And when people come at these tours from all different angles, all different walks of life,
Sure.
all different. They all have their different
Bunch of cultural
viewpoints.
And, sure.
And you get
Kind of the gamut.
and you get shoved into a bus, and just
You
we
have to
need to be
learn.
a little more accepting and tolerant.
I always felt in our business, just I think the nature of creative types, most of us are failed musicians in some way or another. We got that kind of that bone, that artist bone. I came through in the punk scene. You've been around forever. We're a pretty accepting bunch, for different types, different personality types, different.
But I could say that there's been times where I was more of a hard ass on people, like more hard on people, not so willing to just listen and I don't know, like I'm no psychiatrist, but by any means, but
Well, you're actually known for being a kind of a hard ass. So if you're saying the nicer part of you is like we're having some, you heard it here, people. Bradley Madix is coming out softer and gentler. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, seriously?
well, no, I mean, yeah, I guess. I'm just saying that I think that you're seeing a time now where we've been entering into this time for the last several years where we're dealing with the realities of how hard it is to work on the road, and now how nobody can work on the road. And I think you said, a lot of us self-medicated, and
That's right.
a lot of us drank too much, and a lot of us did a lot of stupid things. And I don't think it has to be that way. I don't think it can be.
No. It's so much more professional. And the whole thing is the groupies are gone, basically. The drug dealers we had backstage are gone. I mean, it's really a different animal.
Totally.
And there's better things than that, and there's other things that I feel sad for the roadies coming up because they didn't get the 80s and the 90s where there was some rock and roll shit going on backstage.
Yeah, but I mean, in hindsight, it was
fun.
like...
it was tough, but it was fun. I had fun. I'm speaking.
Oh, I will say I certainly had some fun times, but I also I was essentially hazed on the first couple tours I did for all intents and purposes.
That's kind of normal.
And it doesn't have to be. I don't think now. I don't think you would get away with that.
I don't hear anything about that. I don't see anything like that. So I think maybe that. But this was again, the old school guys were just cut from a different cloth. And there was a certain thing, and they were trying to weed us out.
It was pirates.
Yeah, total pirates. They were literally trying to see if you could.
For better and worse.
And you were going to let them down when the shit was jumping off. You know what I mean? They were trying to sort that out. I always felt that was the motivation. Was the reason they were being super hard on us and butt up jokes and having you do the feeder and the lame jobs and working your way through it was they were trying to.
Well, I don't have a problem with having someone work their way up through, starting. I don't say at the bottom exactly, but with more rudimentary tasks and working there and learning skills as they go.
Absolutely,
that's one thing. But I mean, I saw some pretty awful things done to people. So we should go into really.
There's a lot of time to come up with pranks, between doors and sound check, and so yeah, of course. But okay, well, I'm glad you're turning over a new leaf of kindness because I think it's going to surprise a few people, and that's very good. That's very good. By the way. I mentioned the Diablo Digital thing.
Yeah.
You guys are a special thing. It's hard for me to articulate it. You make custom Pro Tool rigs that go out with U2 and the Stones and these really, important gigs to capture that. Can you explain? You got the elevator speech, what you and Greg Price do, your partner, Diablo Digital?
Well, first of all, the company was born out of a frustration of us trying to archive these shows, multi-track and archive these shows, and starting 10 or 15 years ago, and really struggling with the equipment that was available, the reliability of the equipment that was available.
It was a problem.
We're talking back to ADATs and
DA88s,
and we felt like it was important to record shows for posterity for a number of reasons. And I won't go down the whole. I'm not trying to sell the company exactly, but I do think what I notice over and over again is every tour has these magic moments, and we really think that it's important to be recording all the time because you never know when this guest. I have I don't have it, but we were multi-tracking Jack White shows in South America, and Robert Plant came on and sang the Lemon Song for the first time in 30 years
that's
with Jack White.
Pretty important moment to have captured.
What am I supposed to say? I'm not recording. I mean, you gotta have that.
Yeah.
You gotta have that, and if you don't embrace the archival, at least the archival aspects of it, not to mention the post and the post-production aspect of it, you would never have that. It'll just be a moment that was lost in time. And imagine all the moments that were lost on time on all the Beatles and Stones and
it's endless. Yeah. It's a really special lane, which you guys. I mean, like I mentioned before, some of the biggest international acts in the world come to you to make sure that their performances are archived properly.
Well, we've been through the frustration that other engineers must have gone through at some point or another, or we just don't want. We want that experience to be a really good experience for engineers because we want this to build this huge library of important moments and great performances and. It's never the best. The mobile recording shows up to shoot your DVD, and that's never the best show of the tour ever.
Ever, yeah.
That and the band clinches up because it's the one night it's all getting recorded, and if they know every night you're rolling, they just do their show.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's priceless, and you guys seem to be the guys to go to in town. for that technology. You worked with a band called Lovers and Strangers. Good band,
Yeah.
bunch of friends.
Go back a ways.
Oh yeah, it's like 30 years. I don't even know, 30, 32 years, something like that. But you've made, is it 2, 3 albums with them?
This will be the second Lovers and Strangers.
Second Lovers and
Right?
Strangers. What'd you do, Ray and the Forget-Me-Nots?
Yeah, yeah.
This is Ray Berlino. He's
Yeah,
coming
Ray.
on the show, actually, at the
Great,
end of
awesome.
the month. Yeah, it's going to be great to have him down here. Out of Vegas. Good friend, a talented guy. What was it that drove you to that project? I've heard the outcomes, the recordings,
Yeah.
and they're fantastic.
Not quite done yet. I think we're mastering.
My brother's always playing the cuts.
Yeah, I think it's his songwriting is really strong now.
Yeah, yeah.
Really,
He's
it's
good.
really gotten. What's the word? It's very. It's succinct. It's like the song forms are great. The words are amazing. Like I really like. And this album's fun too. Also, it's a little more lighthearted in a lot of ways. You know.
Yeah.
So. And I really enjoy working with him. He kind of lets me do
He's a
my
great guy.
thing,
Yeah.
which is nice. And we have a really good rapport. Like when we talk,
Well, he trusts you completely. So if you said it should go up, it's going up. If he said left, it's going left. I mean,
well, I mean, it's a dialogue. I mean,
Sure.
I'm not forcing anything on him, but
of course,
he's
he
great.
trusts you.
He's great about taking suggestion, and so I try to be too. But it's, you know what I mean? Like he's not. Nothing is in cement as we go through the process. You know.
That makes it.
It makes it very enjoyable for me because I can do what I like to do. You know.
Well, I've heard different versions of the same song after you've got your hands on them, and yeah, you're making magic there on top of their magic, so it's kind of a double.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
really enjoying it.
really
really
double
enjoying it,
whammy.
and it'll
Really
be nice.
great.
It's almost done. I mean, we're mastering here pretty soon. So.
Yeah, I think when it comes on, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, see when they're releasing that sucker, because I'd love to hear the whole thing live. You guys doing? I know you keep busy over at the shop still. You know we're down, but you've been doing some stuff with. I believe you've been. I hope I'm not talking out of turn. Creating some content in the training area.
Yeah, we're really just sort of on the threshold of that. We've Greg and I, because we're not doing anything else, but I think also long term we've sort of had this idea that we'd like to.
You had been talking about it.
Yeah, I'd like to do. I hate to call it training. It's more like.
What would you call it then?
Well, we want to teach, right, as opposed to train, right?
Okay.
Well, it's a subtle difference, but it is different. I mean, we want to pass along.
This is something that you're. So is this difference there? Let me root around in that. Is the difference that you're going to put it up on the web and it'll be accessible to anybody? Or
Yeah,
is
it's on the table.
Yeah, or you're
I think
gonna,
that we're
a
not
la carte.
fully arrived at what we're going to do exactly with it, but we're going to start doing some videos. I think we're going to start having some people come in person, do some hands-on training and training. Again, to me, it's more like we want to teach people
Imparting.
and more about like mixing, not. I mean, it's technical, obviously, but we're not trying to teach. We're not trying to train someone how to use this console. It's broader than that. We want to teach how, some fundamentals of mixing, some tricks about mixing, some sort of philosophies you guys were talking about earlier. Just how Greg and I approach things, which is we're a little different from each other. So, I think it's just kind of like. We're at this point. I've done this for 35 years. Greg's done it for 40-something years, and
43.
we have a lot of experience under our belt, and we've
That's
stolen a lot of
75
other
years between you.
We've stolen a lot of other people's tricks. So
Of course.
we'd like to kind of pass that along.
No, you guys have always been extraordinarily generous with your information, even your gear. I mean, my God, I mentioned earlier, Shauna Hall from Parliament was in here, is in here. She's across on the other side of the camera. Say, Shauna, working all day on your S6L, and she
great.
loves that thing. Everybody is super having a lot of fun getting in your pro.
Yeah, I think, and I'm not trying to sell it. I'm a user, so I kind of know my way around on it. But I think it's a good time to be expanding your skill set, and also getting your mind open to different. I mean, they all sort of have different flows on the desk. So You may know a Digico desk pretty well, and it's probably a good time to get on an S6L and see how that works for you. And I wouldn't have a Yamaha around here, but I would say the same thing if it was here. I'd say get on that and
well, like a Rivage.
yeah, and you know, get to know how it works. They have different philosophies slightly.
Yeah.
They have a lot of similarities.
But you definitely need to know how to talk to it.
Yeah, but also just because I think it's revealing to get on a desk that you're not that familiar with, and things may click on. Oh, that's interesting. It's cool they do that. You know,
Kind of an intuitive way.
Yeah, right. No, I can see how you could make this work for you in a, you know, in your way of doing things. You know, so I think it's great. It's sitting over there. It's great. People want to tootle around on it. It's not doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, you got a couple in the back room,
We
too.
got 3 of them.
Yeah. Are you guys considering getting into the live streaming game? I know you got the technology.
You know, we've batted it around, and
Seems to be the place to be right now.
Yeah, but we can't really figure out how to make it like financially viable
monetize
over the long term.
Sure.
Like you know, a thing here, a thing there, is interesting, and bands may do it, but it's almost more promotional in a way, or just a good vibe thing
Sure.
for their fans.
Giving
you know?
some back.
Yeah, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But to do it over the long term, it's really kind of a matter of finding out how do you make this work for everybody financially, because you can't ask people to throw themselves at it for free more than a couple times, you know.
Before that becomes a problem, sure. Yeah, I think that's the exact same place that I've landed with it. I'm struggling to.
I don't know, like people are out there doing
but-
shows at drive-ins and shows
Yeah.
here and doing things, and that's great. It's awesome. It's really, I'm sure people are clamoring for some entertainment.
Absolutely.
But it's hard to see how, on a large scale, that is,
The drive-in thing.
yeah, that or something like that is going to be something that's generates enough cash, basically, to be, you know, I mean, you have to pay people to come in. You have
That's
to,
right.
You still have to put up lights. You still have to, you know, people have to run cameras. So, really, what needs to happen is to figure out a way to get people employed, and you know, if somebody figures out a way to make a good amount of money on that, then I'm all for it. I'd be first in line.
Yeah, me and you both, we'd love to figure that out. So kind of speaking to that, or carrying that thought out a little bit, there's some speculation about when we're going to be back out there, you know, putting on shows, doing what we do. We do what we do because we're lucky, one of the few groups in the, and you know, you don't always get to like what you do. And I love what I do, and I know you do, and we want to be out there. Do you have any kind of sense what the future holds as you see it when you're 35 years of experience?
Well, I mean,
and give us dates and times.
March 23rd.
Yes.
No, I mean, this is unprecedented, right? I mean, this is all just unprecedented in history. And
Crazy time.
it's shut down now. I mean, there's next to nothing happening. The optimist in me says that we might see some small things start happening in the fall. Maybe a few things go out, not large scale. But again, you have to fill a place to make it financially viable.
That's right.
And you can't just go tour Florida. You have to go around, you know? I mean, it's so to do this and for people to feel safe doing it, I would say next spring, maybe.
Wow.
Now, that all changes if somebody has a vaccine for this thing and it's real. But
Well, they still didn't have to pump out 100 million doses, and I mean,
that's way out of my.
you haven't been keeping up on that.
Well, I mean, I read what you read, which is everything.
That's right. Yeah.
You just want to, you read one opinion, turn a page, read another. No one knows.
No one knows.
I think the worst case scenario is end of next year.
Wow, now stop it. I didn't ask you to come out here and be all gloom and doom. Damn it. I got
I don't-
people we're trying to cheer up. He's kidding.
We'll see.
let's go with-
I mean,
let's go with-
there's a number
yeah.
of ways this goes, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it depends on, the scientists coming up with some treatment. And a lot of it, because to me, that means people can feel safe going and being in a crowd of people, which is the only thing that makes this scale.
Yeah, you're completely right. I know that's the end all. That's basically the bottom line.
Yeah,
And
and also, maybe there could be like a cultural change with the mask thing. Maybe, I mean, I know some people push back against it, and I understand, but I also like other cultures. It's what
It's a
they've been
very
doing
normal
for ages,
thing.
right?
That's right.
And you might see that come around. That might make a difference too. Like if everybody's really comfortable wearing masks and being in a room with other people. But man, I don't see that happening for the next
probably
few
start
months.
outdoor with masks.
Possibly, but I think there's going to be. It would not surprise me if there were capacity limits on places, and I mean, everybody's going to have to come to the table because you can't put 5,000 people in an arena on an arena tour, and well, I mean, I get you can, but you know what I mean. I mean, you want all the money's in that after you've sold 75-80% out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and again, I mean, I'm just a sound guy, so there's a lot about that I don't know. I won't pretend to know, but I'm not optimistic about anything happening this year.
Yeah.
However, I would say I could sort of imagine being in Australia in the winter, their summer.
We don't have to imagine, you've done it many times.
Right, but I mean, like that might be a thing. That Australia comes around, for example, comes around where they've got a handle on things, and it's summer, which is apparently I understand a little bit better than winter.
Oh, for
viruses,
exposure
right?
and so on.
But again, I'm talking out of school here. There's a lot about this I don't know, but I kind of have like the optimist in me says, well, we maybe in December and January we're down in South America and Australia.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
But I'm not not banking on it.
I think part of this, the whole surviving this thing, is being an optimist. And, I know you'll be ready. We're certainly ready here at Sound.
I'm ready now.
Our gear is,
Call me.
Yeah, we couldn't be more prepared. The longest winter maintenance I've ever been. And super fun. Listen, I could talk to you forever.
Likewise.
You got stories. I really appreciate you coming on. Seriously, you're a good
My
get,
pleasure.
and you're a good friend. Keep care of your family, and see you
very
around the
much.
shed.
Thank you very much. I'll be right over there.
He's close by. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Be good.
Much appreciated, man.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. We got to shout it out for Kyle Thomas. Kyle Thomas, happy 30th birthday, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
another
want you to
day,
have
another
fun.
dog biscuit.
Yeah, if you behave, we've talked about this. It's it's conditioned on behavior. The dog biscuit thing.
That's it. I'm a good boy.
You are a
Always
good boy.
get my dog biscuit.
You are a good boy. We want to thank Robert Cortez and Soul Food Stew. And looks like a bunch of people had signed in. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming around. Listen, we couldn't do this thing without the help of a few folks, starting with the people right here at Sound Image. My general manager, George Edwards, the big cheese here in the building, and of course, Mr. Dave Shadone, the CEO of Sound Image. Thanks you, Dave. We really appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.
We also got the help with the gear from the LSV, our good friends down at LSV Large Screen Video. That's John Rigney and his people. Thank you, Johnny. You're the man. We truly appreciate you. And of course, we do. Listen, you do what you want to do when it comes to the social distancing and the mask and all that. We totally, America, man. But here we get a little help with that from the people at slowfiber.com. They take care of a bunch of stuff for us when we get holes in sandbags or drape has problems, whatever it is. They make it so we can have masks down at our different shops so people can still work kind of safely together. That's our thing. Do your thing. And last but not least, my good friends at Diablo Digital. Brad and Greg, we're lucky enough to share space with them. And when you need some Pro Tools rigs that get the job done every time just right. My goodness, very lucky.
Bobby Wilcox.
Who's that? Robert Wilcox is saying hi. Hey, Rob. Yeah, you guys will be working together very soon. Robert's Motley Crue's Vince's monitor engineer. Thanks for tuning in, Robert and Michael and Winston Dame, my brother. Man, it looks like Pete O'Toole, too. Pete O'Toole, thank you, guys. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We have fun doing this. We do it for you. That's the only reason we do it. It's keep our chops up a little bit, mostly, but it's fun talking with our friends, and we get that in these moments. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to be here next weekend with John Del Rio.
Can't wait.
Yeah, Big Daddy. Okay, it's a big hulk of a man, throws steel around for a living, accurate staging, Gallagher staging. We like to get all the different disciplines in here. He's been in the business forever, and he's a great guy. If you want to see us again, come back next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.